So in this video, I'm gonna explain to you exactly how much it costs for me to travel for 25 days around the world. I'm gonna include the flights, the hotels, the food, the activities, the taxis, the tipping, everything that I spent, and the total amount was $8,800. In total, the flights cost $2,300. I did most of my searching for my flights on kayak.com. I think I only bought 2 of the flights directly from kayak.com, which their subsidiary Vayama is who I bought those flights through. Every other flight I bought through the airline directly, but I searched the costs on kayak.com. I like using Kayak because it has a very, very wide range of flights. You can look at the cost differences. It has multiple websites that you can purchase the flights from. I also started searching a year in advance. Generally, you can't get a good idea of the flights before 9 months to 6 months to your trip. So I started a year in advance, but I had a really good idea by 9 months how much my flights were gonna cost. And then I looked every day at the flights. When I saw a big price drop, I went and I bought the flight. I added up all the flight costs every day from 9 months through about 6 months. As soon as I saw a steep price drop totaled between all the flights, I purchased all the flights at the same time. It's very important you do that. If you purchase one flight at a time, you might get stuck and find out that one of the places you want to go to only has one flight, and that flight jumps up to $600, $700, $800, and all of a sudden your trip becomes unaffordable. The hotels cost me right around $3,000. That came out to a little over $100 a night for each hotel room. Of course, some of the places like Egypt were much less expensive, Thailand much less expensive. I did splurge and buy a couple hotel rooms that were over $200. My one in Santorini was close to $300. But all in all, $100 a night for a hotel room is a great cost. I purchased every hotel room except for Egypt off of hotels.com. And the reason I did that was, one, I've never had an issue with hotels.com. I know some people have, but I ran into no problems. And after 10 nights, they give you a free hotel room. So I earned 2 free hotel rooms. So the total cost for my activities were roughly $1,100. I purchased all my activities before I left for my trip. The main reason for this was I wanted to make sure that they had good user ratings. I wanted to make sure the company was good. I wanted to make sure safety-wise it was good, that I got picked up from my hotel, that I got dropped off to my hotel. I do know that a lot of the activities I could have done for cheaper if I had purchased them from the hotel after I got to my destination. But I wanted to make sure that I had that money spent, that I didn't have to put my credit card out there too many times while I was on my trip. And I purchased most of them all before I left for my trip. So that leaves me with $2,400 that I spent on my trip. I initially projected $1,500 was the bare minimum that I could do this trip. That number went up mainly because of tipping and because of eating. I found the food to be less expensive in most places, but I would eat 3 times as much just because it was so inexpensive. I also ate a lot of times through the hotel. It was just easier. Being by myself, I didn't want to go sit in a restaurant for a couple hours alone. So I just found it much more enjoyable to order room service to my room, which of course costs a little bit more than if I had gone out to dinner. Also, taxis are expensive in most places. In Rome, the cheapest taxi I could get was 25 euros. My trip to the airport cost 50 euros, which is roughly $60 just to get to the airport. Taxis aren't cheap. Of course, I tipped after that expense as well. So for the money I spent abroad, I took $500 in cash with me. I had about $1,000 on my credit card that I was willing to spend, and about $1,500 on my debit card that I was willing to spend. So I spent the cash first. Then I went and used the money for my credit card second. Then I started dipping into my debit card. One issue that I found was that whenever you take money out of an ATM, of course you're gonna pay an exorbitant fee for that money. You're also gonna get the money out in high denominations, which isn't always very good. A lot of places abroad, especially in say Egypt, can't break high denomination bills. Also, when you're tipping, it's always important that you look at your wallet and you make sure you have some small denomination bills. because sometimes you're caught in a position where you really need to tip somebody. They've done a great service for you. Sometimes when you're abroad, you lose track of how much money you're actually tipping people. So if I were to do the trip again, I would do the flights the exact same way. I had no issues with my flights. I would stay in the exact same hotels. They were amazing. They were probably the best hotels I've ever stayed in. Where I could save money is in food. I probably could have saved easily $1,000 in food. So you could save money there. In tipping, you could save a lot of money. I think you could do this entire trip for under $7,800 if you're smart with the money. If two people were to go on the exact same trip, you would just need to add in another set of flights for $2,300. I think you could easily feed two people for the amount that I fed myself. I think you could do the entire trip for easily under $1,100. All in all, this trip was the most amazing experience of my life. Everybody has asked, what was the best place you visited? I cannot answer that question. Each place had its own unique characteristics. I loved every single one of them. I would not have changed anything schedule-wise. Again, this trip isn't for everybody. I love to move around. I love to see new things. I didn't want to get caught into spending 2 weeks in a place that I didn't like. So I figured 3 or 4 days in each place. I can figure out exactly what I really like, and then I can plan a trip later on in my life for maybe Santorini again or Egypt again, and I'll know that I enjoyed that experience. I'm still gonna plan to do more vlogs. I have a lot more vlogs for the trip itself, including into going into a little more depth in the hotels and in the flights, so you can help plan your trip. I am also starting to think about other destinations I want to go to, and there's going to be much more to come. So thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and please hit that alert button so you get alerted when I do upload new videos. Thank you again, and we will see you later.